Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, and welcome to episode 4 of season 2 of Kunna Tuhaf. Today's guest is very, very popular, and
Oh,
due to popular demand, she is on the podcast, of course. And obviously, I couldn't forget her. So I'm just going to let you introduce yourself, uh, who you are and what you do.
wow, what an intro. I think I accidentally spoke through that. Sorry. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Hayaat Belhajj, also the creative and painter behind, whoa, my voice is shaking, Hayaat. And besides painting, I'm currently completing my degree in sociology and criminology. So that's a very quick summary of me.
The famous Hayat art.
Famous.
So to start off, how do your paintings come to be? Like, what is your thought process? What is your creative process? How does everything come to be the famous Hayat art paintings?
If you say the famous Hayaat, what? Pretty much everything. I feel like my thoughts and whatever mood I'm in, it's a bit of everything really. I can't pinpoint one specific concept that influenced or inspired my artwork, but it's definitely culture, as everyone can probably tell by now.
Yeah.
And mainly Libyan culture and my Amazighi heritage, which I'm still educating myself along the way, by the way, because I'm not too educated on it. Although I am from Yifrin, which is Amazigh. Wait, is that even the right word to use?
Yeah.
In the Jebel.
Yeah.
But I wasn't born there and I didn't live there, so I don't know the language. حتى the العادات والتقاليد is different from Trablus.
Yeah.
So
From overall Libyan culture as a whole.
exactly. And yeah, because I was born in Tripoli and I came to the UK when I was 2.
Same
And
with
I
me.
remember
I was born. I was
You
born in
too?
Travis, and then we moved to Canada when I was a year old.
Oh, amazing. So finally someone I can relate to there. But yeah, so I know this is gonna sound really weird, but I didn't know that I was from Yifrin until I think I was 7 and we went to Libya for the summer every year. And then my dad was like, oh, we're gonna go on a road trip. And I was like, okay, to the mountains, and it seemed cool. And then we got there and he was like, so this is where you're from. And I just remember my face just being really confused because even though we go to Libya every summer, I'm used to, Maidan Shuhada, I'm used to Medina Qadima, I'm used to Sarai al-Hamra.
Travis.
Yeah, I'm just used to Travis as a whole. So I was like, we're from the mountains. And there was no shops. Even on the way there, I was like, where is the shops? Where is basically a whole new different lifestyle? No city life, of course. It was just very different. So
Very
even though
common
I am from
village like.
Yifrin, yeah. What did you say? Sorry.
It's very common village like.
Yeah. And obviously, if people have seen the houses in Yifrin, just holes. There's a lot of holes, and some houses don't even have doors on it, and one room leads to another. Beds are different. You sleep on the floor mainly. Art and house, what's it called? House art in your kitchens, and basically everything in the house is different. And I remember when I first went there, I was like, I don't want to be here. And I was like, take me back. There was no internet. Yeah, it was just a whole different thing. So I just want to point that out, that even though I am a Maziriya and I am from Yifrin, I am not still 100% educated in that part, basically.
Right. And then that pretty much you try to learn more and then incorporate that into
My art. Yeah.
So you would say culture is a giant influence
Yeah,
on your work.
definitely. I feel like that's very recent of me though, because my art, I've obviously done it my whole life, as cliche as that sounds, but I've not always done art on culture based, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. What else do you think is a big influence on you like on your artwork or on yourself as a whole?
I feel like it's just like my daily life. Just depends on the day, my mind space, my mood really. Like when so obviously when I grew up, I wasn't painting one specific thing, but I remember my first piece of art was in reception, which is just before year one or first grade, as you say. And I painted a vase of flowers, and it was just like the first thing that I created, and it was just a random piece. We weren't given like a theme to follow, you know. I just said, oh, let me paint a vase of flowers. And I remember it being chosen out of the whole class, and it was actually hung up in my primary school. So that was like my first, you know, famous moment, if you want to call it that. But what's funny is, as a kid, I didn't really take that in. And I remember not caring, and I was like, why my work? Take it down. But yeah, so like everything. And then I did GCSE art, and I remember we were doing nature or something like that, and we had like a lot of plants around the school to begin with, so we did observation paintings. So I've been painting everything really. We did landscapes, we did plants, we did food, which was different for me. What's different though in GCSE, when I was doing these observational drawings, they weren't actually paintings, they were drawings. They were fine liner drawings, so I only used one medium, so I only used fine liner, and I loved it though, which is a bit weird because I didn't have to shade. I didn't have to do a lot with just one pen. Do you know what I mean? So I loved doing that. And then, funny enough, culture really started when lockdown first hit, really, because that's when I had all the time, and I said, okay, let me, you know, sit down. What can I practice? Basically, not what can I put out there. I just wanted to practice it for myself. And then when I felt comfortable and I thought it was good enough for it to be put out there, I just carried on with it. And I remember I think it was the first Libyan painting, which went everywhere really. And I was like, okay, this is what people want to see.
It wasn't before that, because I recall you were doing cultural pieces like a little while back, before lockdown.
Cultural pieces, as in Libyan pieces?
Yeah, or not at all.
I think, are we talking about, do you remember I did one on the Farashia, but the Farashia was a Libyan flag? That was before lockdown, yeah.
But it wasn't until lockdown where you started to do more and more and more.
Yeah, lockdown, lockdown is where my non-facial portraits started to blossom, basically.
You know what's funny
Before that, I was actually doing faces. Yeah.
You know what's funny is that seems so long ago.
Right?
Honestly, I didn't feel like that was a year ago. Oof.
Do you know my non-facial portraits?
Yeah.
Hasn't even been a year yet.
Wallahi, I didn't click.
I was going through my archives on Instagram, and I realized my first ever one that I posted was July 2020.
That is ridiculous.
Honestly, it's been a couple of months.
It seems like so long ago.
Right? I feel the same. I think it's because like I said, with lockdown, I had all the time, and I finished second year uni really early. So this time last year, I was free. Now everything's piling up, but this time last year, I was free, and I was, you know, doing my research and finding my art style, which is also important, and I'll talk about that. But yeah, so I just went out and practiced different things until I found out, even though growing up, I actually used to draw faces, like real faces. I used to sketch as well with pencil and everything. But then I was like, I don't really like that. And when I did it without the face, I was like, it kind of looks complete to me. So I just kept it as that.
Why? So you just felt it wasn't for any other reasons other than your personal opinion?
Yeah, I remember. So, so when I had my page at the very beginning, it wasn't Hayaat art with the 7. It was actually so basic, and it was disgusting. But it was Hayaat with like 3 T's and then art. Like, that is the most basic name I could ever think of. But I wasn't too focused on the name. That's the thing. I just remember I just wanted to make a page for myself to showcase my art,
Right.
and no other reason, just Liene, you know what I mean? And I did paintings with faces before, and I don't know, I think I had like 200 followers at the time. Wasn't big, and I wasn't doing anything with my paintings. I was just doing it for myself. And I had messages about, you know, religion like related, about faces and you shouldn't do it and why and stuff like that. But the good thing is that the people who came to me, through DMs, actually sent me links and videos about why I shouldn't be painting faces to begin with. So,
Right.
so it wasn't like, why are you painting faces? Don't you know it's prohibited, forbidden in Islam, stuff like that. They actually came with material and resources and actually, you know, actual reasons. And I remember reading it and I watched a video and I was like, this makes sense. But how do I explain? Like, I watched it and I said, okay, you know, like, you can't kind of argue with it in a way.
Yeah.
But it kind of took me a while to process that anyway. So at first, I shouldn't have done it, but at first I was like, I took it a bit personal. And I was like, no, I don't know. Like, I don't know who to trust, who to take information from, stuff like that. Because obviously these days, everything's on the internet and everyone says whatever they want. So that was the scary bit. So yeah, I took it a bit personal, and it took me a while to process it. And I was like, no, I'm gonna carry on painting whatever I'm painting. Like, this is my work, this is my page, whatever. I sound like an idiot when I think about it, but then I just, when I painted my non-facial portrait paintings, I wasn't thinking of that though. Like, I had put that aside, and I was just with the Libyan ones, I was focusing more on the clothing and the jewelry, and they're there. And I said, okay, I'll come back to the face later. And then I finished it, and with my paintings, obviously the gold jewelry, as everyone can tell, it's very, you know, out there. And it's actually the last thing that I like to paint because I feel like it finalizes everything. So when I painted the jewelry, I just put it up and I just stood back and I was like, this looks complete. And do you know what's funny is that I didn't find it weird looking without the face. I was like, this actually looks good. And when I first posted it, it just blew up, really.
Because it works. It just
Yeah.
works. You know what I mean? Like, there's some things that, like, you know, when you look at something, you feel like there's something missing. Like, you don't get that feeling
Yeah,
when you
yeah.
look at.
And it's gut instinct as well. Like, if I ever had a feeling, you know, هذه مش ظابطة لازم نغير هذه whatever, then I feel like I do need to do that. But with this one, everything just went smoothly, really.
Right. So, how does your painting process go? Like, how does it go from thought to?
To canvas.
Yes.
So what I can speak about mainly now is the paintings, like the ones that I do on Libyan women and men and Libya in general, really. But so a lot of it is from family, like old family pictures, but also vintage Libya, of course. Big up vintage Libya. But I think the first I can't do this episode without shouting him out. But definitely, because the first painting that we were speaking about was from a photo of his page. Do you know what I mean? So
right.
First two, because I remember doing like a set of two that matched together. So yeah, big him up. But yeah, so as well as his page and North African, Middle Eastern as well, so the Middle Eastern, North African Instagram pages, I take a lot from my old, like, family and extended families photo albums and my grandma's old photos, because we've got a whole lot of them. But I changed them up a bit because obviously most of them are still black and white, still very old and traditional. Some of them are not even, like, they're basically like half ripped, you know, they're very old. But I just kind of take them and kind of, I don't know, like, it's really weird, but my art, when I first did it in GCSE, wasn't normal to some people. Like, I had a bit of an abstract look to my work, so I wanted to add that to my paintings as well. But I remember, like, showing my parents, and my aunt, when she saw my work and stuff like that, she was like, you know, where's the faces, or what is that, and why did you add that color and stuff like that, فهمتني? So so I kind of look at it, and in my head, I think Sadiq mentioned this in his episode, but like the creative eye is very strong. So sometimes I don't even have to look at everything together, but I can look at them one by one at different times and just imagine how they would look like together. And then I would, you know, put it down in pencil, because I'm such a perfectionist. I don't like to paint straight away. A lot of people are like, oh, you sketch your paintings out first. I didn't know that, but I do that out of preference. So I like to sketch it out because I don't like mistakes. And
you want to paint in between the lines.
There, I pick the colors. Yeah. Definitely. I'm like, my friends are tired of me when it comes to perfecting my work. But it's not even like my work. When I take pictures, there's specific ways I like the angle, you know. Like if I give you my phone and you start putting it landscape and stuff, just give me my phone back. I hate
feel you
that.
on that. I feel you on that.
Company. Start cropping and editing stuff out, man. But yeah, I sketch it out, and then min ghadi, I kind of put colors that work together, but at the same time, when I want to, you know, like try something out of my comfort zone, sometimes I'll put mad bold colors that won't suit, but it just feels right. Does that make sense? And then jewelry fil akhir, I love gold, as in like the gold acrylic paint that I have is like my best friend. I have it right behind me. But not all, you know, like their colors suit gold jewelry, so I've done the silver jewelry as well. And sometimes there's a mix of both, so which looks a bit mad in the sun as well, because they're very shiny.
Sparkly, yeah.
Very, yeah. It was my favorite part. But that's pretty much how I put my work together, if that answers the question.
So moving forward, what was it like for you? Like, I know you talked about it a little bit, but what was it like for you coming together with your entire like creative identity? How was like what drove you to further make yourself better at it? Like,
so like my journey with it growing up.
Yeah, pretty much. Yes.
Yeah. So as I said, as cliche as it sounds, I've been doing it since I can remember, really. But I like literally sat down and planned ideas and stuff at GCSE when I picked art for GCSE. And yeah, so that was like the main, that's what like stemmed my creativity, I feel like, because we looked at, you know, we studied different artists, what materials they use, we read about them, we had to like make a whole portfolio. That was my coursework basically. So I had like a fat book with different artists, different types of work. And I remember we had, with each artist, we'd pick our favorite like work from them and recreate it ourselves. So yes, it's, you know, Picasso's work, but I'm gonna, you know, alter it slightly and make it look a bit different. But the good thing is that we did have to do research, so we couldn't just sit down and copy a painting and say it's ours, you know. So we had to find out like a bit of background, what he used, what he or she used, the ideas behind that work and stuff like that. And what helped a lot was my teacher. I had the best art teacher, and I can't like express that enough, because our class was small as it already was. So in terms of time, she was, you know, running around everyone trying to help everyone, but she also didn't set us specific tasks. So she's like, do whatever you want. And that helped me think, because I, like, alhamdulillah, I was told I had really good ideas in class. So yeah, in terms of her giving me the freedom to paint whatever I want and how I wanted to paint it, definitely plays a big role in why I paint now in the first place. So I would do my own research, I would choose my own materials. I remember my final piece was about identity, and that's also very personal. And I remember, I think I drew a portrait of myself, and then very basic, the Libyan flag in the background. Oh my God, I think I painted like a plate of mbatton or something. It's my favorite food. Yeah, and just like it was like a mind map, but a painting, if that makes sense. That was my final piece as well.
Did your dad like push you to keep going into art? Because I know he's an artist himself as well. Mashallah alayh. Did,
Yeah,
did he
inshallah.
start pushing you to 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 dive deeper into it, or did he
Do you
just
know
let
what?
you do you?
I think he just let me do me. I FaceTime him earlier today and we were actually speaking about it. But yeah, no, he never like enforced art on me because he didn't do it as a full-time thing in the first place. He studied accounting and my mum studied pharmacy in Libya, mashallah. So in terms of choosing art, he didn't do that. He just did that growing up in his spare time like I'm doing now. So yeah, it was never of, pick art and do this. It was actually the opposite. I remember when I was applying to university and I was like, oh my God, I don't know what I want to do. Like, this is a whole degree. I'm not wasting 3 years في حاجة, بنضيعها. So
Mhm.
I was like, oh, I love art. And I just finished GCSE. Didn't do it for A level just because of time consuming reasons. And my other subjects, which is would have been hell. But so I was like, okay, I might want to do art for uni. And then I forgot like how specific university is. So, there's history of arts, there's different types of arts. And I remember I was like, okay, I need to find a way to convince my dad that this is academic. And I was like to embed history of art, like when, just focus on the history bit, don't even focus on the art bit. And then I remember I researched it at unis and I was like, this is disgusting.
Yeah,
This is not what I want. Yeah, it's different. It's so different. It's like, you realism and different types of arts. And I was like, I'm not doing that, man. I'm not doing that for 3 years. So in that sense, he didn't want me to pick it. Like he didn't want me to do art-based subject at uni, which you would think is weird because he paints. But like I said, he didn't do that as a degree himself anyway. But coming back to that, I'm so happy I didn't pick an art-based subject at uni because I always say this, it's like a break from life,
they don't look at
literally.
the creative side of things. Like it's
Yeah,
more
yeah,
of like the actual essence of it. Like
yeah,
like I know people in the music program, um, like it's not what you think it is. It's not like تجيب العود بعدين تجي وتلعب. Like it's not like that at all.
yeah,
You have to look at the instruments, the acoustics of it, what sound makes where, why does it make the sound that it does, the sciences of it, the history of it.
100%.
Um,
All the research and hard work that goes behind it, because
literally,
they just end up seeing the final piece.
right?
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, they look at it and they're like, "Beh, ماشي حالة," what did you do?
Yeah, yeah,
Where's the face? Like me,
right.
where's the face? You know what I mean? But bro, like when I tell you the patience, oh my God, the tantrums, everything. Like I'm gonna punch this canvas. Like literally, I go through that stage all the time. Sorry, I'm not that violent. I just, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
A lot of time takes, yeah, you have to take a lot of time with it, and you learn that as you go along. So when I first started, I was like, this sounds so bad, but like you do compare yourself to other people, and you're like, oh my God, how do I do that? How do I get to that stage? And I feel like I'm going on a tangent. I'm so sorry.
no, no, you're
but
good.
um but yeah, like in terms of time, you have to be patient, man. With art, yes, it's subjective. Yes, people can paint a line and it gets framed in a gallery, but there's meaning behind it. Do you know what I mean?
What did you find difficult when you began?
When I began the page.
No, like when you began? Well, like first talk about like when you began your artworks that you do now, and then talk about when you started the page or your
Hmm.
first page actually.
Yeah. So when I was doing art in general, just for fun, like for myself, I don't think I found anything difficult because I didn't take it as serious. I'm just putting pen to paper and colors and paints and splashing ink and stuff like that. I was just trying different materials and seeing what works for me, really. So I wasn't really, in a sense, worried, and I didn't really care about what I created. I just wanted to create something that was at first an idea and now it's just in front of me. But when I started the page, there was a lot of difficulties in terms of like I said, comparison, which was mad because I feel like it's normal to compare yourself at first. But the most difficult thing I found was definitely finding my style when it came to painting. It took me a very, very long time. And because I am quite indecisive and very much a perfectionist, that didn't really help. And I mention this because it's realistic, like it's a real honest thing that I'm talking about when it takes time for someone to, perfect their skill and kind of produce work that people look at it and they're like, oh, that's your work. Finding your style and what you're comfortable with is very, very important. And also people need to realize how you can't rush art. Like as much as you think you can, you can't. And new upcoming artists, like, it's very sweet when, people send me messages and they're like, oh, how did you do this? How long did it take? More time it takes long just because I procrastinate. You know what I mean? I could easily finish a painting I did yesterday today, but I can't balance everything at once. So I think it's really important that people know that it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort as well to find your style of art, because it's not easy. I feel like I didn't find my style of art until last July, like I said. And I remember I think I made that account 2 years ago. Yeah, and I was just trying everything out, man.
Because it's hard trying to find the person you think you want to be, because
Yes.
you gotta have like لازم يكون عندك شخصية خاصة بيك, like you can't really copy others, but like they inspire you, but you also want somebody to look at it and go, oh well, that's Zahardin's or that's Hayat's,
Exactly. Yeah. Definitely fat difference between inspiration and copying. And with art, it's subjective. So I don't know, I could, like I said, how when you've probably visited a gallery or museum and you see like a straight line and you're like, why the hell is that framed? But besides it, where they're writing what it's called and what year it was made in and what it's about, that's when you begin to understand what it really is. And
I'm not gonna lie, right?
Straight line is a bit mad.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Like sometimes I go to the gallery and I see some of those like artworks where it's like a line or something of the sort, and I'm
like a scribble. Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that doesn't make sense. Some of them, like the ones I look at where they're more contemporary, where it's like a paint splatter or something like that. Like those are like, yeah, those are nice. Is it worth $5 million? Probably not. But would I like to have it? Definitely. Like those things I don't really understand.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like sometimes when I تشبه painting or a piece and you're like, mate, I can do that at home. Like, do you know what I mean? But it's just the meaning behind it. Okay, I think of it now as scribble on a straight line is a bit mad, but it's true, because go to a gallery or they'll get a straight line for 5 million, mate. Like it's there, it happens.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like it's just some of that, like I totally agree with the art is subjective.
Yeah.
Because I know some people will look at it like and it means something to them where it triggers something in them.
Yeah.
Like this isn't real, but I don't know if you've watched the show Daredevil.
No, but I watched The Punisher, I'll tell you, and I didn't know it was related.
So Fisk is the villain in the show, and there's this painting. It's just literally a white canvas with what looks to be craters, something of the sort. And to him, it just triggers when he was a kid and he just used to stare at the ceiling for days. So, like, yeah, some things like it just doesn't make sense to you and me, but I totally agree with it. Just sometimes triggers something in us where like, oh, it just reminds me of something, or it just looks like something, where something of the sort.
Exactly. It brings, it has a meaning behind it.
But
sometimes.
like your work is not really subjective. You know what I mean? I feel like with your work, at least my personal opinion on it is it's very objective. Like you can definitely look at it and go, this is what this is. And we all have memories associated with the works that you paint. Like we can definitely think of somebody who's worn it or know somebody who's worn it or we've worn it ourselves, something like
Exactly.
that,
Yeah,
and it's very objective. And you can definitely tell from looking at it, like that's Hayat's work, you know?
that's the best bit. And that's what took me a very long time. Yeah. So that's that makes me happy because like I've had so many people see my page reposted and they're like, oh my God, well done. And I think like I wouldn't be tagged in it, so I wouldn't even know. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm just like, oh, thanks for noticing. Yeah. In terms of it being objective, that's the best bit that people can relate, especially like a lot of the paintings that I'm in the works right now. Like my latest one was of my mum. So it's again in Amazighi traditional clothing, which is different to some Libyans as well. And that piece took me a while because also all the research and reading and asking questions that went behind it, because I myself didn't know all the jewelry that she was wearing. And she knew some, but she didn't know the others. So, I had to do my own work on that.
Yeah, because sometimes like we may know something, but we don't know it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
نعرف الفرملة إن هذه الليبية, and I
exactly.
know that it's handmade, but what does this mean and what does that mean? Like, it's like something
Yeah,
Muhammad's talked about, like on his episode, and like we've talked about, like some things like you got like I feel like with nowadays you got to be conscious of everything.
yeah,
Like
exactly.
it's not like
Because you're putting it out there. Yeah,
right. It's so people that don't understand it, so you can educate and teach them. It's not only just so دير روحك فاهم قدام الناس. It's more like
exactly. That's the danger behind it.
yeah, it's more so you
Yeah,
can understand it. It means more when you understand something, than just doing it to do it.
for the sake of it. Yeah, 100%. And I feel like I wouldn't be comfortable and happy within myself if I put something out there that I didn't 100% understand. So with my latest piece that I put out there, I was actually speaking to Shada, who's amazing, and she educated me on some other bits as well. So she's the one who I sent her the original photo of my mum that I obviously wasn't going to post.
Right.
And she was like, oh, she's wearing this and these, which are the beads that kind of what's it called, are attached to the hair. And with that lipsa, your hair's in plaits most of the time. So yeah, she was telling me the names of that in our Amazigh culture, the black like headband that goes across your forehead. Mate, like I'm being full on honest here. Ma'araftash half of them, and I still don't know how to pronounce some of them. So it did definitely take me a while, but to actually research it in the first place was the first and biggest step I had to do.
Did like in your household, did you practice your language?
Jbali,
Yeah,
la.
because
Absolutely 0%.
I know what I think it is. It's because of the like I've realized it now more so where a lot of like a music wherever, whether it be Zwaria or من يفرن ولا like it was so suppressed for a very long
Yes,
time that
100%.
a lot of them have lost it. Like I have friends that are Zwaria that don't even speak the language; they just speak
Yeah,
Arabic. They know where they're from, they can understand it, but they can't speak it.
yeah. And I did a university assignment on around that, and I mentioned that as well because it was cut out, education system, even expressing it through your clothing and your jewelry, you couldn't even do that. So,
Not even names. حتى
mhm.
الأسامي you couldn't name your kids أسامي أمازيغية.
Yeah, definitely. And I remember that actually relates to my uncle when his wife gave birth, sorry, to two twin girls, Samoham Bijbali. And I remember when they were like, yeah, meet her and her, and I was like, what? Like, what name is that? And I was younger, and I was like, where's where's the cliche names? I've never heard of that before. So that makes sense. And actually, I actually love the names because they are different.
Like, do you think like now as you grow older, do you feel guilty that you don't know enough and that's why you're trying to learn more now?
Yes and no. Like, I don't feel guilty because, like, I don't know. I don't feel like it was in my control in the first place because I was raised in London. You know, I came when I was 2. I was going to say born, raised in London. So I don't even feel like my Lugha Arabiya is perfected, let alone like learn another language. But definitely, I do want to research and learn it myself. I want to like take that as a task and do it myself and pass it on, inshallah.
Inshallah. So, going back to your art,
Hmm.
um, did you like before you went into paint or after you went into painting, did you try doing other forms of art? Like did you try digital or is that not something you did or is not something that you're going to be doing?
I'm definitely open-minded. Like, I'm with art, I just, like I said, I've already previously tried out different mediums and different styles and stuff. So I'm not, like just focused on one and say I'm just going to do this for the rest of my life. I'm not going to do digital. That's not my style. That's the thing, because when I first started, I didn't even know what was my style. So I'm definitely open. Digital art I've come across like quite recently a lot. I've seen that it's very common, and I love the look of it. But like I said, if I do try it out, and choose to take it any further, then I definitely have to find, make it look very unique and specific to what I do. But yeah, so previously I've done nearly everything. I feel like I've done pencil sketches, like literally in your face with shading and all of that. Ink, um, oil paints I haven't used. I don't think I like oil painting. No offense to anyone who does that, but I just don't feel like it's my style. I think the first time I tried it, I did it wrong. So from then, I've been taking it very personal.
Yeah.
Watercolor painting I used to love before I started acrylic, but now I feel like I haven't picked it back up yet. So I don't think I'll like if I look at it, I'm like, nah, that's not going to work, and I'll just scrap it straight away. And gouache paint is a bit similar to acrylic, but it's like in between. So when it dries, you can, like, if you make a mistake, you can paint over it, but it will mix. But with acrylic, you can fix the mistake, if that makes sense. So ever since I made a lot of mistakes and I used that type of paint, I didn't like it because I never went back. But yeah, it's in terms of different like formats and digital art, I would love to try it, but just maybe not now.
Just some things you just know suit you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I talked about it like with me in the first episode. Like I tried doing so many things, so many things. Like I tried. I was like, you know what? And I'm gonna go. I'm gonna do photography. That's like I think I'm gonna do it because my cousins were
Mhm.
doing it in Libya. So I thought, you know what? Let me try this.
Yeah.
And like I have an eye, but like editing and all that is just like it just ما خشليش راسي.
Hmm.
I couldn't do it. It's not me. And then I
Yeah.
tried doing. I was like, yo, let me go do fashion. And I took like one summer. I was just researching and trying to think of designs, and I was like, أنا بداية لبس تلبيس. This isn't me. Like I can't.
Yeah.
I could maybe think of ideas, but like artistically, I can't draw. So painting
Hmm.
is not for me. Drawing is not for me. Designing is not for me.
But the creative mindset is.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And then I went and I was like, you know what? I started watching all these like fashion YouTubers and I was like, you know what? Let me try let me try doing these fashion, like making a fashion YouTube. And
Hmm.
someone had reached like one of my friends, his friends was making a fashion YouTube and he wanted a guest. So I was like, yo, let me go on there. And so I went and did that. And then after I was like, yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna do that again.
Hmm.
Like with fashion YouTube, it was very hard to be your own person. And I don't really like blogging and vlogging and doing it like everybody else. It just
Yeah.
seemed like very cliche. Yeah, maybe I'm an entertaining person or maybe a creative person or whatever it be, but it's just ما خشتليش راسي.
Hmm. It's
And then
more
I
so
was
for yourself.
yeah, I was like, I want to do something for me. Like, I don't really care about who sees it.
Yeah,
Right? And then,
that was me when I first started. So yeah, definitely, I agree.
I just مرة مقعمز وجتني فكرة to do a podcast. And I was like, you know what? That's actually أنا فالح في الكلام ندوي هلبة. I was like, I can talk for days on whatever topic. And in the
Hmm.
beginning, I really just wanted to do a podcast and call it like Zahra's Rants or
Hmm.
something like that. Cause
Like general, yeah.
yeah, like, cause I am interested in a lot of things. Like, mashallah, ندوي عليك ما فيش حاجة ما ندويش فيها. You know, like sometimes it's a bad thing because I like talk my way into things, but um, like I like reading a lot and I want to know about everything.
Yeah,
So
just curiosity, yeah.
literally, so like movies, like TV shows, fashion, like I just want to talk about everything. And I was like, nah, that's kind of lame. Like everybody does that.
Yeah,
And then I just thought to do one on the Libyan creatives, and then I went through different like asking people and things like that. And then I did the logo, and then I just never did it. And
yeah,
then finally in January, I was like, you know what, خلاص نتوكل إنه to do it. Like
finally, alhamdulillah.
it takes time to create the person you want to be, you know? And
100%.
like I know, like you just said it. So like that becoming who you want to be, or the road to becoming who you want to be, is not something that يوم وليلة, you know?
Exactly. It doesn't come easy. That's the best thing because, you know, this took you time and a lot of thinking and a lot of planning and mind mapping and stuff. So when like you finally get to it and the final product is in your face, you're like, I did that.
Yeah.
It
And
makes you feel even more proud.
right. And then when you start seeing the like people noticing it and the
Yeah,
positive comments and the feedbacks and things like that, like they're like, wow, you know,
100%.
like this is what I did. Like this is my work, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
I remember. I remember like this is like very recent, past the, you know, my work being out there and people knowing it's my work. But I remember I was at work and my phone was in my back pocket and it was on silent and it was just vibrating. I was like, what the hell? Like, is this an emergency? Like, what's going on? I ran to the toilet and I think it was Tripoli Street Style, that page
mhm.
must have reposted my work and it just went, yeah, like everyone must have loved it, I guess, and kept getting messages and follows and stuff. And I was like, yo, this is mad. Like that's the most, like, what's it called? Most interaction I've had in such a short space of time. A lot of Q&As and, you know, what's really nice though is when people ask me, what is this painting about and why did you paint this? When I get DMs about that, I actually really like it and I get to tell them the personal story behind it. So that's one of the many things I love about what I do.
It lets you show off who you are without showing off who you are, you know.
Yeah,
Because like art, the best thing about art in general is it's very expressive. Like that's one of the reasons why like I started this, because you can look at someone's art and not know who they are or what they do or why they do it.
exactly.
Like you just appreciate it for it. But what is
Hmm.
the story behind it? Like why did they do it? Like why are they the person they are? You know?
Yeah. And when you find out the background and all the information, it means more.
Mhm. So with that being said, do you feel like it's necessary for you to do cultural pieces um as part of your identity? Like you talked about it a little bit, but
Hmm.
because you live far away from home?
Gosh, I feel like I talked about everything in one answer.
Yeah.
um, Definitely because like I feel like in my head the initial idea was to do the Libyan like traditional pieces in like one series, like one theme, one series, and then I just didn't stop really. So I think it is. Wait, I'm so sorry. Did you say? Do you feel it's important?
Yeah, do you feel like it's necessary?
Not necessary, but I'm enjoying it at this point in my life. So I feel like I said, it's kind of educating me and everyone else on this journey. So I feel like I will carry on at this moment in time, but I don't think it's necessary. Like, I don't think in the long run, inshallah, that's just going to be what my work is about. But because, like, before I paint, I read about it and I understand it, I just think it's important for it to be, yes, a painting, but for it to be educational as well. But mainly, I feel like that's mainly starting with my Amazighi pieces, because a lot of my followers, alhamdulillah, are Libyan and know what the Badla Libya is. Let me say Libya. Sorry about your but and there's there and everything else. But when it comes to the Amazighi clothing, they don't know much about it, like I said. So in terms of it being necessary, no, but it being a big part of what I do, yes.
Do you think you're gonna keep doing cultural pieces as times move forward, just in general, like not only painting like Libyan clothing and jewelry and so on and so forth, but Libyan scenery? Or do you think you're just gonna, or you're gonna dabble in other things?
Definitely a mix, but do you know what, the like last week I had like a canvas that I hated, so I painted over it not to waste another one, and I was like, okay, I don't think I can do like a whole new non-facial portrait on this one, but let me try scenery. And I tried a section of this picture that my dad took in Medina Qadima, and it just didn't work out. I was like, no. But I think it was because, like I said, I was a bit impatient when I was painting it, so I didn't let it dry fully, and I painted on top of it, and it was just a mess. But that just comes with practice, really.
Right. Because like you've said, like it just takes time. It takes time for things to become what you expect them to be. Right. Yeah. So maybe given time, it'll become nicer than you think.
Yeah. And I'm not used to painting tall buildings or like trees. And when I was a kid, yeah, we all did that house, tree, and sun in the corner and stuff like that. Listen, we've been through the same thing, man. But in terms of now, give me a canvas and, I don't know, paint the shard or whatever, the gherkin and or the eyeball towel, whatever it may be. I don't think I would do it. Like, I won't perfect it like how I would if I actually, put my mind to it and planned it out, basically. But inshallah, in the long run, might branch out.
So, other than education, what else are you trying to express through your work?
I think a bit of myself, just a bit of myself. I feel like I am a sociable person. I'm not really introverted. I feel like I'm in the middle, but I don't really put my business out there to begin with. So do you know what was so weird? When I made the page and I put it on public, that felt weird to me, because my obviously my private page is not public. So when I I didn't even get requests. That's the weird thing. It's just like, so and so started following you, so and so liked your thing, so and so sent you a DM, whatever. So I feel like I'm starting to be more open and showing that in my paintings, just kind of exploring myself as I'm painting, if that makes sense. There's a lot of stuff that I didn't realize about myself, especially during this lockdown, where I was like, okay, maybe I am like this, or maybe I did realize, but I just didn't want to admit it. Do you know what I mean? So even when it comes to abstract art, that is something personal to me. So I'm not your average girl who paints, real life faces and stuff like that. I will splash a bit of ink. I will do, like I used to, my favorite bit about painting was getting, like a leafer, the sponge, and dipping it into paint and just doing that as the background, just to give it texture. Like, I'm that person who just tries to portray and present myself to you on the canvas.
Is there any emotions that you express through your work that none of us can tell?
A lot of a lot of anger when I'm very impatient, yes. But like, if the piece is personal, like, of my mum or my grandmother or another relative that I painted, whatever, definitely a lot of emotion, especially when, so before I start the painting, I will sit down and I will ask my mum, like, because there's a lot of people in our photo albums that I actually have no idea who they are. So I'll be like, who is this? And why are they in the picture, and like, who are they to me and stuff like that. So when I actually get told the stories and the background of that photo itself, when I come to paint it, it's all in my head. But when I post it, it's, painted a photo of my mum, which obviously is personal, but it's not on the same wavelength as when I was painting it and the process behind that.
There's more emotion internally
When
than
it's
there
someone,
is
when it's someone
externally.
you're related to,
Yeah.
especially.
Like
Yeah,
you can't really tell from looking at the photo or looking at something how much time and energy was directed into it,
100%. Yeah.
Like on average, how long does it take for you
To
to
finish, I mean.
to finish a painting or think of an idea and then go straight to the canvas?
So I think a lot of people can agree with me, especially the creatives, that I think of the best and most random ideas at like 3-4 a.m. and I will get up and I will start drawing it and I will start painting it. But sometimes it's not like that. Sometimes that's not the reality. How many times have I drawn something and actually started painting it? So in my head, I was like, okay, there's no going back. But I look at it and I'm like, this is not it. So I'll come back to it 2 weeks later, or even, I don't even remember, but the one that I did of the man and the line drawing of the camel behind him.
Yeah.
That one, when I first started painting it, I actually despised it because it was the first painting of a man that I did in a very long time. That's the first thing. So when I was like, there's no jewelry to paint on here, this is a bit weird. But my favorite part was then the farmland that I painted, because at least some, it's not detail, but
It adds
the
an
work
element to it.
it is detail, but like, yeah, exactly, some like an addition to it kind of thing. I could add that, and then slowly I said, okay, I haven't painted animals like in a very long time, so I was like, let me change it up and make it just a line painting. So with that piece, I think it took me 3 months overall to start it and complete it, because I just kept going back to it. Sometimes I'd look at it, I'm like, I don't like this. But as I've mentioned before, and even on my post, that one important thing that I was taught by my teacher is that whatever you paint and you think you finished, just hang it up, put it far away and just look at it from far. You need that perspective, because as you're painting, you know every bit that's gone into it. You know every mistake, you know every cover up, you know everything that's dried and you've tried to hide it. So when you stand far away, it kind of blocks that out for you.
Do you show like your parents or your siblings? Do you go like, what do you guys think before you post it, or
Listen,
do you
the
get any
minute
opinions from others before you do anything with it?
I have now become that person that finishes a painting and says, "Look at my work, fam. Look at what I painted." But before, when I first started, I definitely did ask people what they think, and should I post this? Is it worthy and stuff like that. But that was before, when you were, self-doubting yourself and overthinking. And like I said, every mistake. So when they imagine, like, no one said no, but if someone did say no, the first thing you think of is that little mistake, and you're like, oh, they're right, I'm not going to post it. But I haven't really done that in a very long time. And sometimes I feel the need to do it. So sometimes I finish a painting and I'm like, okay, let me ask someone for their opinion. But I stop myself, and I'm happy I started doing that, because I kind of remind myself that I did it for me to begin with. So your comments, yes, and your support and everything is a bonus, but it comes within, kind of thing. So I don't really do that anymore with my parents and my siblings. Yes, they're very tired of me. I make it like a whole gallery in my house, so it's kind of by force.
See, like, it's, I think you got to be a certain level of confident to just do it, because with anything I do nowadays, I still gotta like think and show somebody and go, yo, like, what do you think of this, or listen to this, what are your
Just
thoughts,
have like a second opinion.
right? Because sometimes, well, like, especially with talking, sometimes me and you take it away, other people don't take it the same way,
Exactly.
so that's why, like, some things mean a lot to me, Some things like I can say عادي, just like it's a passing thing, but others take it a different way. So
Yeah, with certain people, you'll take their opinions very personally, and
yeah,
with others, it's just there, like, you know, thank you for your comment or whatever.
right.
But inside, I do agree with the level of confidence also, because it kind of links with finding your style. Because when I did, like, I don't know if it's a Libyan thing, but a lot of extended family members would start sending me other people's work, and they'd be like, why don't you do this?
Mm.
And I think, like, sometimes I think, you know, when I'm in a good place and they just want me to, maybe, like, I don't know, they like that and they want to see it in my style, maybe, but at the same time, I don't really like it, you know? So it's like, why you send me someone else's artwork that's way completely different to my style, and you're asking me to do it that way? It makes no sense. But sometimes I don't know if they know what they're thinking. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes Libyans just speak without thinking.
Yeah, there's a little comments here and there. It
Mm-hmm.
just said just passing, like some words mean like I was saying, like it's just deeper to us than it is to other. There's different contexts that you can take different things, which is one of the reasons why it took me so long to do what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Is because I was like, ooh, like if I say something, it'll be taken out of context. If I do this, it'll
Yeah,
be,
yeah.
you know, like do you feel
Especially
like
with
it?
you, you're speaking. Yeah.
Right. Did you feel like it was the same way with you? Like, did it take you so long to be a public page because you were worried of
Like what
how
people
things
would
would be
say.
taken? Yeah, exactly.
Um, in terms of like my paintings, like what's actually on the canvas, no, because, you know, that's my ideas, my expressions, my experiences from brush to canvas. But when it comes to captioning it, maybe. So like my latest piece I keep referring to, because that was the longest caption of my life, where I like noted down every jewelry piece and stuff. In my head, after I posted that, I did think, although I did my research and I asked someone I know and someone I trust, I did have that second guess where I was like, I just know someone is gonna comment and be like, that's not how you spell it, or that's not what it is, or whatever it is. And the other thing that I feared was someone actually commenting in Jbali, which I don't understand. Do you know what I mean? So that I would have felt, yeah, that I would have agreed with. But in terms of like my painting, of what people say about what I paint, no. But I think that's because I just grew to be confident, really.
Right. Because that was the one thing. Like I also feared like someone saying something from harsh ولا, you know.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, and you'll just look like the fool because you don't know what they're talking about.
Because like culture is a very touchy subject,
Mm-hmm.
and so is like religion,
Yes,
and
definitely.
politics. Like those things that are very very touchy, you know. Um, some people like some things are black and white, but there's also
Yeah,
the gray area, right?
yeah,
So some things they some things that are عادي عندك انت ولا عندك انت شخص تاني ما يمشيش عنده الحال, you know.
yeah, and عادي, like it's opinion. Yeah,
Right. So it was, I feel like in your case like it makes sense why you'd be very worried, you know.
mm-hmm.
But I'm glad that you're not. Otherwise, we wouldn't be
Yeah,
seeing half the work that you do today.
yeah, that's that's true. But there's me, like I've told you, it's a long ongoing process that just doesn't end. But when, like, during quite like the very beginning of my stages, I still have canvases behind me that I just like, I'm like, no one's gonna see this. Like I don't feel confident in it. Or I didn't like how it turned out. Sometimes, like what I think, you know how I said like I have ideas like 3 a.m. That feeling feels right. But sometimes when I start something randomly, more time it just doesn't go to plan.
Right.
So there's colours that I would have said, oh, this would have actually suited it better. Why
Mhm.
did I pick that? Or like this skin tone, or yeah, this color dress, or maybe I'll do gold jewelry and then I'll be like, oh, silver would have suited it better. And with, especially with the like shiny kind of acrylic paints, yes, you can paint over other acrylic colors, but the shiny ones are very difficult because you can still see it. Once this was a really bad experience, but I remember I did like a calligraphy piece where the font, I chose gold, and then I realized, no, this doesn't look nice because the background color was light to begin with. So the gold, when it started shining, was just like blinding my eyes. And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna try black. I'm gonna try black. And so I went over it, and it just ruined the whole piece. Sometimes I have that feeling where I was just like, I should have just stuck to my initial idea sometimes.
That's what I remember you doing. That's what it started. When I started following you,
Calligraphy.
you used to do calligraphy. Is it
Yes,
like, do you still do that, or have you stopped, or?
I haven't done it like for a minute, but I definitely haven't stopped. I feel like in Ramadan, inshallah, it will be, you know, a lot more common on my page. But I remember when I did a giveaway, I did a calligraphy giveaway, but that's the thing. So I thought calligraphy paintings would be best for a giveaway because it's a bit more universal, and, you know, I guess a lot of people understand it, whatever. But if I did like a Libyan
It's
painting for
only
a
Libyans.
giveaway, yeah. But what's good is that I have a lot of non-Libyan followers that love it. But just that initial idea to myself, it just made sense to go with calligraphy. But yeah, calligraphy was a much harder process. Like I tell you, portraits for me were hard, but calligraphy was even harder. But that mainly started, so when I was younger in Arabic school, alhamdulillah, my handwriting was very neat. And
Can't
teachers were
relate.
like, no, sorry, man, sorry. But yes, my handwriting was very neat, and my teachers were like, oh, mashallah, your handwriting. And they'll make me do imla for the sake of it, just to read it. And then growing up, I was like, that was a weird stage of my life. Like, why am I loving my handwriting too much? And then I just, obviously, because that was written in Arabic as well, so then I just tried to practice it. And when I just started calligraphy, I didn't look into the different calligraphy fonts and stuff. So I just did the general one, really. But yeah, it took a lot of time. And you see nowadays that calligraphy pieces are like somewhat vibrant and very in your face kind of thing. I was actually the opposite. I love simple colors. I love like 2-3 colors on one canvas. I don't really like all of that bright neon pink purple look. Do you know what I mean?
Even
I'm
your
more of
own
a,
work is minimalistic in general.
yeah, I guess that reflects who I am because I am very simple, mate. Like I can't express that. A lot of things would be really nice to others, but to me, I'm like, tone it down.
Yeah.
Even for Libis, you know, I
Mm.
can't. I have to dress accordingly, like 2, 3 colors max, black always. But yeah, so with calligraphy, I just wanted to keep it really minimal, but I was seeing the opposite. So that's again comparison. I was like, not a lot of people are liking my simple work, but they're loving the very abstract calligraphy pieces out there and stuff. So I took a break from that, and then I came back and I did that. Do you remember the calligraphy piece on like a big canvas that I did with, and it was just blue? It was just bright blue, and I think that was the first calligraphy piece that the Libyan creative posted of me.
Yes.
That I remember you've been a supporter from day one, man. But yeah, so I tried that out, you know, after looking at other people's work of bright colors and stuff. But funnily enough, I didn't love it 100%. But I said, let me put it out there because at that time I was trying to grow as well. So I said, let me put it out there. And that was the first piece that everyone just loved. But after that, I still went back to my simple calligraphy pieces just for the sake of me loving my work as well and feeling comfortable in it.
I had totally forgotten that you did calligraphy until you mentioned
Do you
it.
know what? I was like, wow, did this guy forget? But at the same time, I was like, I don't know if I want to mention it because that was a rough journey.
That was such a, I feel like time just goes really, really fast. And then when you look
Honestly.
back at it now, you're like, wow, that was that long ago. It's been like 2, 3 years. Oof.
Yeah. And I do that when I look through my archives and my old posts and stuff. I'm like, oh. But it's just practice and patience. And as cliche as that sounds, yeah.
Definitely. It has to sound cliche. They're cliche for a reason. Everybody says it because they're true.
Yeah,
Like,
but you know what's mad? Like, you know, like I used to watch like X Factor and Britain's Got Talent, and they're like, you know, how long have you been singing? They're like, my whole life. And I'm like, stop lying. What do you mean? You weren't, you know, you didn't come out the womb, you know, with your vocals like that. But then I come on here and I say I've been painting since I can remember, and that's facts. Like it's true. And then I'm like, oh, that sounds really cheesy.
but it's true, you know what I mean? Like there's some things that like they في قلبك من يوم صرت. There's something, you know,
Exactly.
like talking has been my strong suit since I was a child. ندوي هلبة. Even my mom says it, like out of all my siblings, I was the youngest out of all of them to start speaking.
Oh, mashallah,
So
that's good.
yeah, so كنت ندوي من يوم صرت أنا, you know.
Mm. Do you
So
know what's really weird? For me, they said the same thing about me. And I grew up quite quiet, but now I feel like I chat the most. But I remember when I was young, this is really weird, yeah. But I always used to stick my tongue out in my baby pictures. And my granddad always said to my mum, هذه بتطلع تدوي هلبة. And I was like, where is the correlation? Like, maybe it was just there. And they were absolutely right. So
see what I
I
mean?
feel you.
Like I felt like, and then like when I started like getting older, like into uni, like I felt like,
Mm.
like I'm missing something, you know. And then
Yeah,
this became a thing. So then I was like, now it makes sense. I've been talking this entire time,
I
and it
was born for
doesn't.
this.
Yeah, literally, like الكلام ما شنيش لأي مكان إلا في
Yeah,
داهيات. توا like it's actually getting me somewhere, you know.
getting
Like
you
there's
places. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
there's a meaning behind the words that I'm saying now, you know.
Mm. With me, I feel like طلعت ندوي هلبة, yes, but more in English because, like, okay, yeah, you know, I am fluent, if you would say, in Arabic, but I think I'm good at it until نمشي Libya, and then that's it, I crumble. And I just start mixing it, like we call it Arabizi. And I thought, by the way, I thought it was just my family who called it that.
No. The
Um,
entire world calls it Arabizi.
Listen, I'm happy. I thought I was embarrassed at myself, but yeah, I go to Libya and Insula and we meet, you know, find our aunties that we haven't seen for years, and we sit with them and they're like, so Shintagri, and I'm like, okay, how do I translate sociology and criminology? This is the funny thing, because I ask Mama when she sit right next to me, which is first a bad look because it shows that I don't know how to reply. But secondly, when I translate criminology to Ilm al-Jarima, the way you see their faces drop. These men think I'm gonna become a Fed. They think I'm gonna be police. Oh my gosh. It's all lovely and nice and stuff when you're interacting until you translate that one word for them. Yeah.
That's what happened to me too. Like I would like to say I'm fluent in Arabic. Like
Mhm.
نتكلم في جدي وجدتي نتكلم فيهم بالعربي, like ندو, like almost on a daily if not weekly basis, at least
Yeah.
twice 3 times a week, like I talk to them ونفهم ويفهموا علي. like ما فيش حاجة نقولها بالعربي ما نعرفهاش, ولا
Yeah.
نقولها بالانجليزي, like you know, like ديما نتكلم بالعربي يفهموني, you know.
Mhm.
And then قالوا لي شو بتقرا في الجامعة, like شو قاعد تقرا, and then I'm trying to explain marketing to them,
Yes.
and it
It's
does it.
always that one question that has
It
us
does it
crumbling.
like marketing بالعربي, like it's not really a concept in the
Mhm.
Arab world
Yeah.
as a whole. So it just like ما عرفتش كيف نشرحها. And my cousins kept making jokes and mocking it, telling me, "Shini, حتبيع spins," and I was like, "Yeah, just you know what? Just that's exactly what I'm studying in school, how to beer
Oh my
spins."
god. Mate, I would love that, and I would love to eat it as well.
um, but finally, moving on to the final question.
Yeah.
What are 3 words you would use to describe your art?
Oh. Um.
And what are 3 words you would use to describe yourself?
Great question, because that has me on the spot now.
Because see, here's the thing, right? This is
Mm.
what I believe
I
myself.
really like this question though. When you asked it previously, I said this is really good.
Because here's what I like to believe. The
Hmm.
person and their art are two separate entities,
Yes.
right? Your art is one thing and yourself is one thing. Your
Hmm.
art derives from you, but it's not completely who
Like
you are.
reflection. Yeah,
Exactly.
100%. But in some ways, it can be very similar. Like in terms of, if I was to compare how, myself and my art, I would say as a person, I can be very impatient, but when I'm painting, I'm very patient. That's like one fat difference that I've learned in myself. But at the same time, I think of it as when I paint, I kind of have to be patient because I can't rush this piece.
Mhm.
So I've learned to kind of enforce it in myself, and that has kind of reflected on me and in some way like helped me as well to be patient when I'm Hayat and not Hayat art. But in terms of describing, gosh, you got me on the spot. Can I flip it on you and ask you how would you describe my work?
I think one is simple. That
Hmm.
one you've said yourself.
Yeah.
So your work is very simple. Like it's not too loud. It's not in your face. Like maتصدع عليش راسي when I look at it. I
Oh,
enjoy
that
it.
makes me happy.
I enjoy it. It's something that I can repost and confidently like know that it just looks very
Oh,
nice.
thank you.
You know, that's
Hmm.
one thing. The other thing is it's very educational. I enjoyed the last piece where you did the labeling that I
Hmm.
liked. Um,
Thank you.
um, cultural is one. There's not really
Cultural symbol.
elegance is not really one that I would use because
Yeah, I thought of that as well.
it it's
But
it is elegant, but it's not elegant. You
yeah,
know,
I feel you. I feel you. Again, that
um,
is very subjective, so that's
right?
fair.
There's I can't think of the word, but
I
um,
feel like although it is minimalistic, it's quite bold. Do you know what
yes,
I mean? It's not
yeah,
in your face, but it's in your face.
yeah. You
And
you know that it's a
yeah,
living culture straight from the minute you look at it. There's no way someone could look at it and go, where is this from?
yeah, definitely.
Even
And
if they
if they
don't
do,
know,
I'll
you're
be
like,
very worried. Yeah,
but what's three words you would describe yourself or the artist?
myself. Okay. Like I told you, like a day ago, I asked my mom this question. And her words were, "This is Hayat." Like, this was her three words. And I was like, do you know what? I looked at her and I was like, I can't even be mad at you with that one.
Because
Because
it's
you're
facts.
absolutely right. Yeah.
This is you.
But I literally forced it out of her. I said, no, Mama, like, hug, what do you think? And she was just throwing random adjectives at me. And I said, nah, man. Nah. She said elegant as well. And she said cool. And I said, that's all lovely and that, but I don't agree. But in terms of the painter, like I said, sadly impatient. Um, is there a word for someone? Yeah, imaginative, very imaginative, I would say for me. The ideas that I come up with sometimes can be very weird. But I don't, like I said, you guys haven't seen everything that I've painted. So I'd say imaginative, impatient, but I need to finish it with a good one now. I'm trying to look around in this little art room that I've
In the
got.
studio.
In the studio in quotation marks. It's literally a mess. Gosh, what can I say? I feel like as a person separate from my art, I'm very bubbly. If that's an actual term, I'm very
That is a
bubbly.
term.
And so listen, I studied English lit. This is gonna make me sound so stupid. But yeah, so in terms of personality wise, that I'm, always out here, always busting jokes and very unserious. But that doesn't really reflect on my art, so I guess that's a very separate term to describe myself.
That definitely, I like from talking to you now, like it just seems like it makes sense.
Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, when my friends listen to this, they'll definitely agree with the last one. I
I
am
think
that
just from knowing you, they
joker,
already know that it exists and that it's true.
100%. Like the amount of TikToks I get sent and saying this is you, and it's very clumsy. And now I'm just gonna شفتها, but there was one of this guy trying to help his friend park the car, and he waited until it crashed, and then he said, "خلاص, you parked."
Oh
So
yeah, yeah, yeah,
apparently,
yeah, yeah.
I'm that friend. So
Trust
yeah, I
me,
am.
if you see the TikToks that I get sent and telling me that this is me, is
If it's clumsy as well, then I'll be happy as long as I'm not the only one.
I'm very clumsy, but like I said
Clumsy, but
on
not stupid. You know?
no, no,
Yeah.
trust me. Like I talked about this on the episode of the La. There's things like wallahi, I don't even understand it. Sometimes it literally, to me, it still boggles my mind. I remember
Hmm.
this like it was yesterday. Like I got a brand new shirt.
Hmm.
Um, and I made sure, like, even when I went on the bus, like, because when I used to live in Ottawa, like, I used to take public transport, and I made sure not
Yeah.
to sit anywhere dirty because I didn't want to get my stuff like messy, you know.
Hmm.
وماشي في الطريق ومشيت الجامعة وروحت. Like my roommate Wasim, he just looks at me. He's like, "شنو اللي على ظهرك?" I'm like,
Oh
"شنو?"
no.
And I'm like, he's like, "There's purple sparkles on the back of your shirt, like glitter glue." And I'm like,
Bro.
"What? Like, what do you mean?" He's like, "It's on the back of your shirt." لتوا مش I went and recounted my entire day. And
Hmm.
I don't do arts and crafts. I didn't go anywhere dirty. I went from my lecture to the bus to my house.
It was definitely on the bus.
No, but
Public
like,
transport is mad.
yeah, but like there was nothing. I was standing on the bus and the bus, like my bus was always empty.
Mm.
So مش عارف to
If
this
it
day.
was a tube in London, I would definitely understand.
See what I mean? Like still to this day, it makes no sense. So I definitely agree
I
with you
fully
on the
thought,
clumsy part. Like I can,
yeah.
and even when I eat, like I'm very much a child. So
Oh, I can't relate on that one. I can't. That's another thing. I'm very neat and like a perfectionist when it comes to
see,
neat. Like,
clumsy and neat doesn't make sense.
yeah, that's juxtaposition right there. But the thing is, when I'm like the way I used to paint and color in books as a kid and stuff, I was that kid who would do it within the line. If I remember, I had someone sit next to me with, I think I was like in year 6 or something, and we had like spare time, so we were coloring in, and this guy next to me was just scribbling, and it really annoyed me. And I was just there with a really neat, like colored in page. But and what else was I gonna say? But at the same time, it's hard to be 10 out of 10 with it and very neat as a painter, because like everything will somehow get messy. You will lose it, like a paintbrush, you will lose a specific paint that you were looking for. And again, that kind of links in with growing up with a creative family, because me and my dad share this little room, and when he paints, يحوس في الدنيا, and I'm like, Baba, do not touch this painting, it is drying. Do you know what I mean? And then I'll come back and حاجة لبست, and I'm like, what did I tell you? So it's all fun and lovely and stuff being a part of a creative family and having someone to share your ideas with, until you're in that room and you can't find the painting that you just did half an hour ago.
I hope some people can relate to that. I think
I
it's
hope so.
hard for them to relate because not all of us have a supportive backing.
Yeah, but it's very hard to relate when like Baba is not very focused on being neat and get, oh my god, the amount of shirts that he's ruined. And I said, Baba, get an apron, and he stole it. تعرف خش للكوجينة متاعنا الفوط اللي مفروض for the hand, they've got acrylic all over. My mom is vexed. And I'm like, Bob, I said, get I don't know, get some gloves if you have to, get your own palette, get an apron. Mafish, لا. And he'll be like, it's fine, I'm just improvising, man, it's all cool. But me,
That's just dads in general. Like
100%.
even us, it's the same thing. Like شباشب متاع الحوش نطلع بهم. Yeah, trust me. That one I definitely relate to.
Yeah, 100%. And when you tell them, I remember showing my this is nothing to do with my art, but I remember showing my mum the Nike sliders that I wanted to get a long time ago, which I have now. But when I was searching them, I was like, what do you think? She literally called it Shib Shib Hammam, right? And then I told her, watch, come with me. We went into the store and we left with 2 because she forced me to get her one. I was like, try say something now. It's now her favorite slipper, man.
That I relate to as well.
100%.
I saw these sandals that I wanted, and I thought my mom wouldn't agree with them, and then she ended up liking them, and then now we have matching pairs.
That is so adorable. At least she doesn't have to finesse your one.
No, exactly, because she was like, "Oh, those look nice. Get me a pair." So,
yeah, and for them it might not look nice at first, but it's so comfortable.
Yeah, I
try going to Libya and wearing socks and sliders. They'll mock you.
Also agree with that one.
Yeah,
me and my mom.
Through it.
Me and my mom wear the socks and the sandals that I bought, me and her have.
Oh, your mom rocks it as well.
Yeah. And my dad's like, what are you guys doing, right?
Yeah.
So that I also understand. But,
when your dad jumps on the wave, he'll understand.
He won't, trust me. But thank you very much, Hayaat, for being here.
It was a pleasure, man. Thank you for having me.
Inshallah, we'll see more of your work very, very soon.
Inshallah. Thank you so much. And thank you for being there from day one, man.
No.
I feel like I don't say it enough, but honestly.
Like I've said before, supporting creative Libyans is something that I was doing already. So it's like, you know what? Let's create something where they can be them and not have to worry, and where they're able to express themselves other than their work and, share who they want to be.
Really are. Yeah. Yeah, you've got my unserious side on record.
A side that no one usually sees.
Yeah. Especially now that we're in lockdown.
Yeah.
But if you're special, you'll get a voice note here and there of me screaming, trying to voice my opinion and express my anger. But yeah, other than that, thank you.
No, thank you very much. My name is Zahardin Treki, and this was episode 4 of season 2 of Kulna Tuhaf. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.